Viewers, welcome back to the Personal Injury Law Show. As promised, we've got a very important guest. His name is Namh Nguyen. He's come from southern Vietnam at the age of 15, coming to the country in 1989. Good evening, Namh. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you, Tony?
Good, good. And Namh, the reason why we got you on the show is to explain the plight of migrant workers, what their challenges are, why they have difficulty in the workplace, and tell us a bit about what you do, Namh.
I'm actually working hard of a Vietnamese community, which is Footscray, doing a conveyancing business. A little bit of legal works, assistant legal works, my solicitor.
So you work with a group of solicitors and you help Vietnamese migrants with their legal issues. Now, John, Namh works with a lot of Vietnamese people, migrants, whose English is broken. What's the main problem they encounter in these industries they go into? And what industries do they go into, John?
Tony, they're in manufacturing industries. They're in, what we call blue-collar industries. Cleaners, manufacturing, just simple workers, garbos. The problem is, Tony, that they don't know their entitlements and rights when something bad occurs to them.
But apart from that, Namh, the biggest issue is language.
That's right.
They don't speak very good English, do they?
No.
So in a lot of these workplaces, there's a problem with signage explaining what to watch out for, what things not to do, and even job descriptions. Have they been properly explained? So there's a lot of accidents because of a lack of English, correct?
Yeah, they will explain, but they're not taken in seriously because their English is not that good. So when it comes to injuries, they don't know what to do. They think it's just an accident.
And so in a lot of cases, you say that people get injured and they just keep working, they don't go and get advice to help themselves?
Well, they pick up the injuries from works, but the doctor, when they check with the doctor, and the doctor said it was the accident they made when they were at work.
Now,
Okay.
Nam, is it also possible, or the issue is that they don't want to cause trouble? They don't want to lose their job?
They just thought it's just an accident, and they don't know their right or their compensation.
And migrant workers, when they're working, they're desperate for this money. This is going to pay their rent. This is going to pay for food on their table. They don't want to risk their job, losing their job, do they?
No, they think is to go out and work, good costs, could get more money than staying home. Maybe if you got compensation, they only get 70%. So therefore, if they go to work, they earn more.
But
Vietnamese people are hard-working people.
What we want to express to all migrant workers is that it won't affect your work rights. You do have lump sum entitlements. Correct, Nam?
That's right.
John, one of the issues is this. More often than not, they don't understand the system. You and I know that if the employer's at fault or a third party, they've
Yes.
got common law entitlements.
Exactly.
For whatever reason, the community of migrant workers don't pursue their rights as much as someone that can speak the language,
No.
the English language better. Is that correct?
Exactly, Tony. You and I, over the years, Tony, we've seen and come across, sometimes by accident, migrant workers who have had severe injuries, debilitating injuries, at times never even been able to work again, yet never have made a claim. And I ask why. And what they say is, it's because firstly, I didn't know about it, or secondly, I didn't want to cause any trouble. And I say straight out, that's rubbish. You've got these rights. You're not going to cause any trouble. And especially if this injury and this work accident wasn't even your fault.
That's right.
And we've come across so many people like that, haven't we, Tony?
Exactly. And Namh, it's a cultural thing. From your background, a lot of people don't want to cause any trouble to anyone. Is that correct?
That's right. I think they were governed by the communists too long.
Is that right?
That's why.
And they sweep everything under the carpet, they keep it nice and quiet. Is that what you're saying?
That's right.
So that they're scared of authority.
They don't know where to get advice from, to be honest.
Okay.
First thing they got injury, they would open the newspaper, they look for a solicitor, but there's a lot of solicitor advertise a newspaper. They they're not specialized in compensation or injuries. So
There's a language barrier to start with,
Yeah.
isn't there? I guess you need interpreters and people they can trust. It's always preferable to have someone that speaks the language come in to see the solicitor as well, and that way at least it breaks the barriers down between solicitors and the injured worker. Is that correct?
that's right.
John, you've represented a Vietnamese client who had massive back injury and got a
Yes.
big payout. Is that correct?
Yes, Tony. A few years ago, we had a jury trial, 2-week jury trial in the Supreme Court of Victoria. Situation where the young Vietnamese bloke working in a factory, he's required to lift heavy purloins, which has wrecked his back. Absolutely wrecked his back, Tony. We're talking about a 20-year-old. He's walking with a walking stick. Look, the jury verdict was over $1 million.
Yeah, it's a pretty big judgment.
A massive judgment. My client had tears in his eyes, Tony, because he knows now that at least for the rest of his life, he'll be taken care of somewhat, even though he can't walk properly and he's in his 20s. But the key to that story is, Tony, that he didn't know any of his rights, but he did make a phone call. And that's what we're trying to say to all you out there. If you've got an injury, make the phone call to a personal injury lawyer. You need to be just simply advised. A good personal injury lawyer will be able to tell you in 5 or 10 minutes whether or not you've got a case. Correct, Tony?
Of course. And Nam, just on that point, you'd welcome these migrant Vietnamese workers to ring you, and then you can take them hand in hand to lawyers to represent their interests. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Viewers, we've got to go to a sponsors break. But before the break, I'd like you to remind you to go on Twitter and Facebook and tell us your views about this issue of migrant workers and any other stories. So stay tuned.